Hi soulmates, so today we're going to making this dress you see on your screen. This tutorial is just going to be a short one and it's going to be divided into two: the sewing and the cutting. So the first thing I went ahead to do was to measure my fabric. So I have 1 and 20 something inches. Now mind you, this fabric is a leftover fabric, so it's not up to 60. So but it's able to get me the length that I need. So what I'm initially doing is I'm folding the fabric into four. So I'm folding it into four, two first, and then I fold it again as you see me doing. So I am going to be using the old fabric. So what I'm doing initially is I'm measuring my length. So I'm making use of length of 32 inches. But because I'm going to be joining extra 7 inches of fabric, so that's how I'm able to use 32 inches. Now there's one correction I want to make. Because of the length that I made use of, it ended up being longer than the initial one I wanted. So I ended up reducing it by 3 inches. So if you want yours short, please take consideration of that. So what I'm doing is I measure 33 inches and I cut. Now that is the length that I initially had in mind, but it ended up being long. So after getting the length, I went ahead to measure, taking my neckline, so and my shoulder. So I made use of 7.5 inches for my neckline, for my shoulder, and I made use of 3 inches by 3 inches for my neckline. The reason is because this is not going to have a zipper or anything, so I want it to be able to pass through my neck. So I took in 1 inch for my shoulder slant and I joined all lines together. Now because of the way this style is, it's going to have a ruch inside of the dress. So that's why I need it to be as free as possible so I can have gathers. Now you can invent your own any way you want. So basically I didn't cut shape the waist or the hip or anything. I only just shape the neckline, the shoulder slant, and the armhole curve. That's what I did. So initially what I added was 5 inches extra for my hip. So 5 inches extra for my hip. You can add more, you can add less. Just make sure you is able to pass through your body if you're not having a zipper. So I just shaping my shoulder, my sleeve, my armhole, so and I cut. So basically this is just all what I needed. So if you want more you can add, if you want less you can reduce. So I just added 5 inches extra, so my hip was 36 inches divided by 4, that is 9 inches plus extra 5 inches. So this is folded into two, so the front and back is the same thing. So after getting this, you can see I'm trying to demonstrate what will happen at the waist line so you can get the concept. After getting this, the next thing I went ahead to do was to check the remnant of my fabric. Now this is just what I have left, and I was kind of contemplating if I wanted to use it for the sleeve or use it for anything. But at the end of the day, I ended up using it for my strap that will pass through my waist. So I didn't use it for sleeve or anything. So I used another fabric to do the strap, to do the holes. So this is what I have left. So I kept it aside. The next thing I went ahead to do was to bring in my the fabric that was going to be at the down. Now this fabric does not have a specific length, but does not have a specific width, but the length of the fabric is 7 inches. So I just cut a long strip of white fabric, the leftover that I had. Now you can use any one of your choice. I just cut long strip of fabric leftover and just cut as much as possible. So that was what I was able to use to get the gathers at the down of the dress. And for the sleeve, I also had a dress that I made, and I ended up removing the sleeve. So that was what I used for my sleeve. Now you can create your sleeve from the start if you don't want to use this, but because I didn't want to waste my own fabric, so I just decided to use the sleeve that I already have. So after doing this, the next thing I went ahead to do was to start marking the lines that I was going to use, that I was going to put in my casing. So, and I marked in my waistline, so which was 15 inches. Initially it was 16 inches, but I went up by 1 inch. So I was just trying to mark in the line for my casing. So this is how it is now. If you want to put rubber at this point, if you want to put rubber instead of casing channels, you can do this, but I wanted to put casing channels and not rubber. So if you don't want casing channels, you can use elastic of your choice, but this is optional. It's not necessary you create something like this is totally optional. So I just marked 15 inches round so that I can know where the casing channel was going to stay. So after getting this, like I said earlier from the start, this video is going to be divided into two, so I didn't want it to be too long, so that was why I divided it into two. So this is just the cut, the drafting, and the stitching will be in another video. Now you can see this is just very simple. The cutting is very simple, but the sewing is kind of a little bit tricky, but not too tricky though, but it's a little bit tricky. So after getting and this is what I have at the end of the day. If I put in the channel, this is what I'm going to see, this is what I'm going to have. And if you put in your elastic, you're also going to have the same effect. So at this point, I'm done with my drafting and it is time to go and sew. So thank you so much for watching me. I love you. See you in the next video.